It was like, certain things were better again. I mean, I know they lost, and like it sucks. None of us expected 4-7 going into the Thanksgiving game. You know, I said Monday, like, I'm almost past the point, Tom, where I'm going to get all upset about it and angry and stomp around the house. What has me pleased is that Caleb has looked better. This offense has looked better. Not great, but better. And I feel like that's the most important thing right now. I mean, from your seat, what can you say about the progress, really, that number 18 has made the last couple of weeks?
Well, right before the break, you guys were talking about the coaching change a little bit. And to me, is the transfer of information from Thomas Brown from podium to the field. He sounds like a coach. He sounds like he's addressing the needs of every single player and how it transfers to the field. He sounds like a guy that is getting each position, quarterback, asterisk next to the quarterback, that these guys are mentally and physically prepared to play. And that's encouraging to me because some way, shape, or form, we needed to see the first pick in the draft starting to look like the first pick in the draft. Yeah. And whether it was confusion, unrealistic protection for the offensive line, ignoring assets like Cole Kmet, now all of that stuff that we needed to see is included, and Caleb is running the ball efficiently when needed. He's not running unnecessarily. He's running when either protection or opportunity presents itself. And so that's what I'm super excited about. And I guess it's good. You go from Brian Flores, who's one of the defensive coordinators that I was super concerned about the Bears playing against. And I really think that Caleb and Thomas Brown did a nice job of taking Brian Flores away from what he likes to do most, and that's have multiple bodies at the line of scrimmage in unexpected blitzes from areas that he knows are vulnerable to the protection that you have. But, Jurk, you've been there before, is back when we played, the Detroit building was not a hostile environment.
No.
In this transition of Dan Campbell, it's turned into one of the most hostile environments in all of the NFL. And so from going to Brian Flores and what he could do to you at home, going to what this crowd can do to you on the road, especially as emotional as the Thanksgiving Day game is for these Detroit fans. So that's where my concerns is going forward.
Yeah, Wayne Fonts didn't really have the same mojo that our guy Dan Campbell has up there. With our quarterback, still, every once in a while you get the brain fart. The first play of overtime, 3-man rush, everybody's taken, and all of a sudden he went back to being the guy that's spinning in circles, worried about having too much time back there. How do we get him to stop doing that?
Stop pre-thinking what's going to happen and just snap the football and play according. Right. Yeah, play accordingly to what the line of scrimmage is offering you. And that's one of the things I kind of liked in the transition of Waldron to Brown is the fact that Caleb is become the quarterback that is. They're calling the plays to get the ball out of his hands instantly and allow the playmakers to be the playmakers. And then when that run opportunity happens, he's able to take advantage of it. But, this being a whole different monster in Detroit, and I think Detroit has some concern about Caleb and the Bears' offensive assets as well. So it's not something that the Bears are going in there and just kind of befuddling fools. They're going in there hopefully with the opportunity to do some things with the strengths of their offensive football team, and then maybe the defensive pass rush can get to Jared Goff a little bit and challenge his athleticism. If they can win some blocks at the line of scrimmage, DeMarcus Walker did a nice job of getting a sack on that inside spin move after the bull rush he attempted was stopped by the left tackle. So let's see some repeat performances by the defensive pass rushers as well.
Yeah, a lot of injuries on that defense for Detroit, so maybe the Bears can take advantage a little. I said to Jurko today, and I was texting Waddle about it last night, but man, it seems like the O-line has done such a better job here of picking up some of the things that were really flustering them early in the year, those A-gap mugs and then those twists and those stunts where they couldn't handle them. But I want to go back to something you said because I thought you just made a very interesting point, Tom, and I didn't really think about it. Like, if you look at this schedule, going all the way back to the last weekend of September, the Bears had the Rams at home, Carolina at home, then they played the London game in Jacksonville. They had Washington, of course, on the road. They had Arizona on the road. They had New England, Green Bay, and the Vikings at home. Out of all those games, you guys, well, that's what, 8 games? There's really only one where they played in a hostile environment. That was the Washington game. Where they're, where you're, because even in Arizona, they were 45% Bears fans.
Right.
I mean, that's an interesting point that I didn't even really consider. Like, they've had to face really one true hostile environment in the last 2 months. Now they go on the road for 3 straight games at the Lions, at the Niners, at the Vikings. So I guess I'm going to be very curious to see, have they really fixed some of those problems across the O-line?
Yeah, and Washington wasn't that bad. I was surprised because Washington is usually a group that doesn't sell tickets. But the Bears fans must have offered them so much that an overwhelming number of Bears fans showed up in at the stadium where the Commanders play. But I still think the 3 worst environments are yet to come, and that's Minnesota, this week in Detroit, and then Green Bay.
Yeah.
There's uncertainty about San Francisco because if they're not into the playoff race at that point still, and they do have a bunch of key injuries, maybe a Chicagoans or West Coast Chicagoans will try to buy the tickets and go out there and watch the game. This is the first scary environment to me because when we used to play there on Thanksgiving, so many Bears fans used to show up that Detroit used to have to take noise timeouts because the crowds were so supportive. And so I'm interested to see and how Caleb and Thomas Brown and the offense reacts and the line of scrimmage, Carm, because you brought it up. The thing about it is getting the ball out of the hands of Caleb Williams quicker is one thing that Thomas Brown has brought to the table. So having these unrealistic times of protection that Waldron was calling, I think this offense is more suited for Caleb's talents.
That's a good point. All right, last thing, just about this offense, about Brown, transitioning to Brown from Shane Waldron. I don't want to really pile on Shane Waldron all that much. And there was a time, he's got some success in this league calling plays, believe it or not. But I don't know. It seems like it failed so miserably. What even led them to Shane Waldron, you think? Because it feels like they screwed that one up pretty badly, Tom.
I think the return of Geno Smith in the comeback player of the year, a guy that you kind of thought that his career was like Sam Darnold's, dead and gone. But then all of a sudden you get Waldron in Seattle up there and Geno Smith becomes a player. And then the experience, everybody wants to talk, I hired this guy because he has this coaching tree in his background. Or I hired this guy because he's been around this coach before. And, I don't know how transferable that is unless it's your grandfather, dad, or something like that you grew up around it.
Yeah.
But I do think when you have a reputation of being in that certain tree, sometimes that speeds up the hiring process.
All right, good stuff, my friend. As always, happy Thanksgiving. We'll be listening to the game. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you next week, okay?
Talk to you Sunday morning. See you then, boys.
See you, buddy. There's Tom Thayer. Bright and early on Sunday, he's going to start his own text chain. He joins us every week on the CarX Tire and Auto Guest